When we talk about replacing paper logs, is it about convenience or is it about safety, security, and accountability? Why does it matter now, and why are so many agencies moving to a digital tracking platform for their narcotics? One of the biggest motivators has been the legislation from the DEA that came out this last March, the PPA-EMA legislation. When you talk about storing the narcotics, I want you to think about the DEA's exact verbiage. They say the narcotics must be securely locked in a substantially constructed cabinet. And so that means you go down to Walmart and you might buy some little gun safe. If it's not substantially constructed, they're going to scrutinize you if these narcotics go missing. That's one of the reasons we were partnered with the Knox MedVault. Knox is a company that's been around forever. You've seen them as a firefighter with all the commercial buildings you have to access. Well, with their MedVault and their station vault, you need a circular saw, a welder, torch, something to get into those because it's not easy if you don't have the code. So they would qualify as that substantially constructed cabinet. So think of that phrase, securely locked in a substantially constructed cabinet when you're sourcing out how you're going to keep your narcotics safe. With the storing of our narcotics, I know this seems like a silly question, but we say, why is it important? And you want to think about two things. One is you could be scrutinized on how you're keeping your narcotics safe. The second thing, look at storing your narcotics like hiring a babysitter. If you just go to Craigslist, find the cheapest drifter, whoever put their name on Craigslist to be a babysitter, you're going to get what you pay for versus using one of those reliable sources where they do background checks and you know you've got your kids safe with a reliable person. So it's important to make sure that whatever route you go, it's going to be something you can go to the governing body, that's DEA, EMS agency, law enforcement, and say, I did my due diligence, I kept them as safe as I could. Why is it important to know when and who accessed our station vault or our med vault on the ambulance? It's important because there's no silver bullet for accountability. If someone wants to cheat the system, there's little tiny gaps here and there, no matter what you're using. So when you have something like the Knox MedVault combined with LogRx, you can piece things together by seeing who accessed the MedVault the same time you see a drug was transferred. And so you can piece all these connections together to basically put together a story and figure things out if you ever had to do an investigation. Versus some random vault you get from maybe a gun store where everybody knows where the key is, anybody can access it, then you're just relying on, say, LogRx on that activity. But if someone is trying to get away and cheat the system, they're not going to use LogRx, they're just going to access the safe. That's why having those compatible systems that tell you a full story are so important. So when it comes to the drug safe, at LogRx, we didn't want to get into the hardware business. We didn't have to design and go through that whole process because we knew to do it right, it was going to take a lot of time and money and work. And so we partnered with the best company out there, Knox, and we were able to use their Knox MedVault to integrate with our system. Because something we do every single day at LogRx is look at how can we improve our program? What is out there that we can take advantage of to provide a better product to our customer? And so we thought if we want to take a big picture of what's happening with your controlled substances, we can tie that in with the technology of a modern, sophisticated MedVault that's well built along with our software, tie them together that paints a complete picture of storage, access, and all activity of your controlled substances. So what does it look like on an average shift for a paramedic when they come in and use the Knox MedVault and the LogRx? First off, when they check out their narcotics, they will access the MedVault with either a key card or a passcode that's unique to them. That information is then logged in the system, and then they'll use LogRx to do their inventory check if they have to transfer drugs from, say, a station vault to an ambulance vault. And then once that's secure, they'll close the door on that Knox MedVault. The system will then log how long that door was open for and who accessed it in the first place. LogRx will then track who did what activity and keep that information in the system. And then on the LogRx administrator's platform, all that information is visible so that if anybody wanted to go back and look at the history, it's right there. And then throughout the shift, as the paramedic needs to administer these drugs or restock, they'll simply access the MedVault and use LogRx to track the activity. So it's all very simple, and it makes sure that everything is documented. DEA is happy, EMS agent's happy, and it actually makes the paramedic's job easier. For agency leadership using both LogRx and the Knox MedVault, it basically allows them from any remote location, as long as they have an internet access, they can go into their computer, see what's happening in real time throughout their agency. That includes the Knox MedVault access and any activity that's occurring with the narcotics that's being logged with LogRx. At the same time, because it's such a high level of accountability, it's reinforcing to the staff how important it is to keep track of these important and lethal drugs. When we actually first started LogRx and we had one of our pioneer customers, a big fire department in the Pacific Northwest, they basically told us that prior to using LogRx, they would use a light duty firefighter, someone that just works days. And every month they would drive around to every single firehouse and track the narcotics to see what was on their inventory. They said it would take that person 3 days. And if you think about that, by the end of the third day, that inventory has changed because it's a busy fire department, things are being used. So by the time they get to the end, it's already changed. Kind of like when they paint the Golden Gate Bridge. By the time they get to the very end, they got to start over again because the paint's already wearing off. So with using LogRx, they're able to see everything in real time. So any given moment throughout the month, they can simply log into LogRx administrator's website and see the exact inventory at every single fire station. So one of the great benefits of using LogRx is it takes that stress off the administrators and they worry about getting audited. So with pen and paper, we've had people come on board with LogRx tell us that they were stressed out and it kept them up at night thinking about what's going to happen if they're ever investigated because the pen and paper they knew was subpar. And so now with LogRx, they know that if at any given point they get audited, not only are they going to have evidence that they're doing their job, but they're going to make the DEA or EMS agency happy with how they're doing their job. When we look at Knox MedVaults, what we realize and what the auditors realize is how secure they are, how well built they are, and how there's restricted access. You have to have a passcode, you have to have a key card, and they're unique to any individual that accesses them. And so that's why it's so important to use a secure digital platform in conjunction with the Knox MedVault, is that tells a whole story. So there's ever an audit, if an EMS agency comes in, the DEA comes in, they're gonna see that, hey, that's a secure safe. And so if something went missing, there's probably a way to track down who was the last one to access it and who might have misplaced the drug. Trouble's coming. And so you're gonna have a blowout at the most inconvenient time if you don't make a change. Overall, Knox and LogRx are gonna be your best package for tracking your narcotics and storing them. So if you want help, reach out to either one of your local Knox rep or anybody here at LogRx and we'll help you get set up. We work closely with one another, so it doesn't matter who you reach out to, we'll get you taken care of.